I always say that it's counterintuitive how much structure helps creativity, right? Like, sure, there's got to be processes that allow people to know where they are, to know what to focus on so they can really be creative. I think constraints are a good thing for creativity.
Good note. Yeah. Don't just wing it.
Havoc Hotel 1 was about 30 minutes. Then Havoc Hotel 2 was about 45. And then Havoc Hotel 3 was about an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
Average play time.
Wow.
I want to be very transparent here. We failed too, and we have moments where things didn't go the way we wanted to.
What happens when a former Procter Gamble engineer builds one of the most polished and forward-thinking studios in the Fortnite ecosystem? We'll get to that answer in a second. In this episode of the Creative Juice podcast, I sit down with Enrique Fuentes, the CEO of TerraVision and the creative force behind the Havoc Hotel trilogy, a roguelike series that redefines what's possible in UEFN. In this episode, we break down why TerraVision releases sequels instead of just updating a single map, how structure and systems can actually fuel creativity, not kill it, what it takes to build an IP that lasts and keeps players coming back, and how Enrique's experience working on major titles like Killer Klowns from Outer Space shaped the way his team now operates inside of Fortnite. Whether you're a brand exploring in-game activations or a creator trying to build something that lasts, this episode is loaded with sharp insight and hard-earned wisdom from one of the best in this space. Let's get started.
This is Creative Juice.
How's it going, Enrique?
Going great.
Amazing. I'm actually, you might notice I have a different background. I'm in Alaska. We just recorded this intro. I was outside and it's beautiful, lush. I'll throw an image up or something so you can see. It just didn't work. The internet here in Alaska, it's a little behind the times, but here we are. Doesn't matter. We have an amazing guest, Enrique Fuentes, and he, if you don't know, is the CEO of TerraVision. They've done some large AAA games kind of in this space, and we'll get into that. But if you're in the UEFN space, you'll definitely know them as Havoc Hotel. They've been doing amazing things in this space and been able to do a lot of things in this space that a lot of us have been trying to do. And I can't wait to really kind of dive in and talk about your games and your history, and just super happy to have you.
Super happy to be here, amigo. And yeah, I've been following your show for some time now, and I see all the amazing people that you have had. So yeah, I'm super, super honored and fortunate to be here. Thank you for having me.
Dude, of course, man. I've been wanting to get you on the show, so thank you. I know I think it's been probably now 2 years. I think we've known each other and we've hung out at events and stuff. And man, you're just a genuine good person, man. So I know we'll have a great conversation. And yeah, let's just jump into it and get started, brother. So I want to first start. Let's do it. So I want to first start off on kind of your earlier journey. So let's start off with the origin story and kind of just how you got into games. So in 2000, you founded TerraVision in Venezuela, back when the gaming industry was maybe almost non-existent, right? What convinced you that you could become a global studio like this?
Yeah. So yeah, we started in Venezuela, 2006. So I'm going to say, the whole industry in the whole region, as you said, was almost non-existent. There were some, initial attempts and some, with some success, but, it was not more than 10 maybe studios in the whole region from Mexico to Argentina that would exist at the time. So I didn't start it with the studio as a video game studio. I actually started with a software company.
Okay.
In Latin America, the options you had were very limited when you were going to start your professional life, right? You either an engineer working maybe for a bank or like a doctor or a lawyer. And then the rest of the things is like, you're not good enough for all of these other ones, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of the setup in the country and in the region at the time. And I started a software company, and I really liked, what we were doing, working with clients and, all the engineering aspects of it. But I've always been that kind of right brain, left brain battle person. Like I love engineering, but I love art as well. And I love music and I play music. And back then we had the privilege of having one project that a client requested for us, which was a game. Actually, a game might be too much to characterize it, but it was a horse racing simulation.
Okay.
So, they asked for that and we're like, how hard can it be, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
it's another program and it's, 3D art. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
we did it. We started with that. I think what really, really kind of the spark moment for me was seeing people really, really excited and passionate about what they were doing. Like, connecting this with the previous idea of, not having a lot of opportunities in creative areas or let alone video games, right? Like making video games was such a alien concept for everybody. And when I saw that we could actually provide that opportunity to really talented and passionate people making games, that's what sparked it for me, right? Like when I saw that spark in their eyes and like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm making this from Venezuela. I said, like, this is my life mission. I got to support talent. I got to support people like this. I got to be the force to enable people that dream to work in this industry to actually be able to do it. So that's kind of what sparked it for me.
Awesome. No, that's a really cool story. So let's kind of dive a little more into that, because you actually started, like you said, kind of your career in a very different space. So before TerraVision, you worked at Procter Gamble, which is a very big corporation, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it business intelligence? Is that kind of was that where you were at in the business intelligence space? Like what did you do? So like what skill or mindset from that time do you think like influence how you run your studio today, or kind of like how did you bringing those working over there into your studios and starting your business and how
No,
in that way?
absolutely. I mean, if you're gonna start a career in video games, that's where you start, right? Procter Gamble is very. I'm kidding.
No, I know. It's a fascinating transition for real.
Couldn't be farther, right?
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, we do have soaps in Havoc Hotel 3. So, I mean, I learned all about soap in Procter Gamble. But yeah, I mean, it's also connecting to the previous, idea of that there weren't many, opportunities for people that wanted to have a career in a creative industry, right? So at the time, Procter Gamble was like one of the most prestigious places to work at when you were in Venezuela. Actually, at the time, the regional Latin American headquarters were in Venezuela.
Amazing.
Then I'm sure they regretted that decision, the way the country went. But at the time, things looked good in the country, and it was a very, very good opportunity career-wise. So, and I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do with my life back then. Graduated from systems engineering and, I had the opportunity to work there. So why not? So, but yeah, I mean, I think kind of connecting the dots when I started my entrepreneurial career with the software company, a lot of it was influenced by what I learned at Procter & Gamble, from the things I wanted to do and the things that I didn't want to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's an amazing company. Don't get me wrong. It's a really, really amazing company. And I learned a ton of great things there, like process at a big scale. You mentioned business intelligence, and I fell in love with data back then. I had like an internal consultant type of a role there, where I would go to any division in the company, from finances to sales to marketing, and I would be the one understanding their data needs and their information needs, and then go back to our department and try to make sense of how we could provide that information from the ERP, from SAP, and all that stuff that the corporate world uses, right?
Yep.
Great. I mean, like, it allowed me to have a good understanding on different disciplines in a big corporation, but at the same time was a little restrictive. I mean, of course, it's a more than 100,000 people company. It's a huge company. So you can't run it as, Enrique has an idea to do something, or that other person has an idea. Now let's do that thing, right? So I felt like restricted in that way. And for me, I was like, I got to do my own thing. I love this. I've learned a lot here. I appreciate all the learnings and all the opportunities that I were given. And I was actually, doing pretty well there. But there I was like, no, I need to create something. And that kind of sparked my entrepreneurial journey. And, I started with software because it's the thing I knew, and the thing that I think I was good at the time. But yeah, that connecting the dots, that kind of prompted my journey into video games, oddly enough.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I kind of actually started with BP exploration in a same thing, big corporation, a Fortune 500 company. Oh,
right.
Yeah. Things take months from idea to concept, or sometimes years. It's a whole different game. So many people are involved. And yeah, I feel that like it's definitely liberating when you can kind of like just have an idea and get it started and go, right? It's like you don't have all
Absolutely.
these things, especially in gaming, right? Especially in this world, it's very important to be that, not have those restrictions, which, I think that's the difference between, you got the solo developer, small teams, to the big AAA studios. It's, it's the time to market so different in this space that we're in, right? That's so, I don't want to say maybe volatile or in some ways, but like it's definitely eye opening. Also, like you said too, like when I working with different facets of a company, where you get to see how the inner workings of a company, I learned a lot as well. And I think that's very helped me along in my career. And again,
Yeah.
what I didn't want to do and what I did want to do, learnings. No, it's very, very cool. And thank you for sharing all that, Enrique.
Oh, of course, absolutely, yeah, and I think like the politics and the stuff that gets in the way of creating, which is again normal for a big corporation. And but don't get me wrong, there's gotta be a certain level of, I'm gonna call it like bureaucracy, like at least a little bit
Yes.
when you start scaling up, and I'm sure we're gonna touch on that. But yeah, there's certainly I always say that it's counterintuitive how much structure helps creativity, right? Like
Yes.
running a studio, and I think we'll be doing a big disfavor to new creators if I convey that it needs to be like everything is free form, no structure, no nothing.
Yeah.
That the way that we have learned that you got to operate a studio is providing a lot of structure so people can be creative, right? Like
Yeah.
trying to solve for the uncertainties and the it can be chaos, right?
Yes.
Creativity is not equal to chaos. There's got to be structure. There's got to be processes that allow people to know where they are, to know what to focus on, so they can really be creative. I think constraints are a good thing for creativity.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that was a good note. Good note. Yeah, don't just wing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. No, for sure. All right. So now we're getting into the fun stuff. All right, we're going to talk about Havoc Hotel and Fortnite and UEFN. So you've pushed the boundaries of what's possible, I think, in a very big way in our ecosystem. What first made you realize that Fortnite UEFN could handle something, as deep as a roguelike, and not just, another mini game, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't think we started from the point of view of let's try to push the boundaries in terms of scope. I think it was more from a perspective of a player, right? Like we saw all the amazing tools and possibilities that UEFN provided, and we're like so excited about it. Like there's so much you can build with this. At the time, roguelikes were not even a thing, right? Like there were some, but they had like 5 players, right? So
yeah,
if you look at it from that perspective, wasn't a a great idea to that, because it wasn't being successful at all. Our thought was, we strongly believe that this genre can work here, right? Like why not? Why can't work? I mean, the tools are there, the player base is there, and we thought, like, if we brought our expertise creating games for almost 2 decades, with the knowledge we had on level design, progression design, economy design, UX, said, like, this is the game we want to play. This is the game we want to play in Fortnite, right? Fortnite is arguably the best. And I mean, if you don't agree, it's gotta be, I know you agree, but some people don't agree. It's gotta be at least top 3 in terms of shooters, right? Like
oh yeah.
The shooting game in Fortnite is like, it's perfect. It's amazing, so that's something that it's like at the level of, like, it doesn't get better than that. So how do we use it? How do we use it in a genre that we enjoy and that we really love, which is, roguelikes, right?
Yeah.
So we just went ahead and built it. And the more we were playing with it, the more we were finding the fun and seeing, like, this is something special. Like, we're having so much fun playing this. And I think that should be the starting point of every project, right? Like, if you don't want to play it, or if you don't feel like what you're building is the thing you want to play, I think there's something wrong. It's the wrong starting point, I think. Like, I think that the tackling something like this from the perspective of what's the market gonna want, what's being successful, how can we replicate it? It's not how we think.
Yeah.
The way we think is, this is something we want to play. It doesn't exist. let's build it.
No, great answer. I think I remember hopping in Havoc Hotel, reading it when it came out, and I think what you guys did, and just like you said, Fortnite is a top shooter for sure, and you didn't try to stray away. You brought a roguelike in, but you didn't stray away from too much Fortnite either, right? You used
Yeah.
the weapons, upgrade systems, the characters, so it still felt a little Fortnite. I mean, a lot Fortnite in a way, I should say.
Yeah.
And so, and I think in this ecosystem, it's very important. And a lot of games that we see are successful is based a lot, still based on Fortnite. I know a lot of people would like to see it go the other way, and one day,
Yeah.
But
Me included, right? I mean, I think
Yeah.
standing ovation for people doing stuff that it's not based on shooting, right? Like
Yeah.
fighting games, and like I have the almost admiration for that level of innovation and being so bold. And I think we all want to see that succeeding, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
think the more the tools are progressing, the more it's getting there. It's getting there progressively. But at the time, and I think even now, I think it's that was conscious. That was a conscious decision to say,
Yeah.
let's use what Fortnite does best, which is the shooting game, and let's build something really cool around it, right? And I
Yeah.
think that worked. But I agree with you. I want to see more of other genres, and we want to build some other stuff as well, right?
No, for sure. I mean, look, it's, and most people in UEFN understand like our limitations, and we can't create characters that you could, I mean, there's like workarounds, but it's not like you would think, right? You can't really create characters,
Yeah.
you can create your own guns, any of that. So
Right.
you had to work with the tools with what you got, but you still did it in a way that was fun and engaging and sticky. And you guys, your game design, your level design, your game loop was just brilliant. And we didn't see something at that scale at the time. Or maybe even still today, I know. And so you guys crushed it. It's such a fun game.
Thank you.
A lot of people that I talk to that aren't even in this space or trying to come in this space, they'll be like, I'll be like, what's your favorite game? It's Havoc Hotel. They love Havoc Hotel. So, it's, you guys definitely have started some. Yeah, I want to continue to talk about this. And I have this may be a personal question because I want to know this, but you took a pretty unique release approach with Havoc Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Havoc Hotel 1, 2, and 3. So instead of dropping like consistent updates on one game that we see in this ecosystem, like we don't really see a lot of sequels, especially that take off like yours has, right? So, walk me through that idea. Why did you take that approach? Why didn't you, I'm sure you looked at what's going on in the market. You haven't seen a lot of sequels, but you guys decided to do that. So I just find it fascinating.
It's such a great question. It's such a great question, because that was certainly one of the things that, we were breaking our heads to understand what the right approach was, right? So let me step back to Havoc Hotel 1. Right? So when we made Havoc Hotel 1, at the time we were experimenting with other, more basic genres just to learn. What focus in doing at the beginning was, let's learn fast, right? So we made one island a week, and we did a few iterations like that, and then we started saying like, okay, let's build something a little bigger. Let's go big. Let's now do 5 weeks. And that was Havoc Hotel 1. And as I said, we love roguelikes, and we wanted to do something more special with NPCs, right? Like how do we build something that's kind of, let's experiment a little bit more with NPCs. So that was Havoc Hotel 1, and that one I'm not going to say took off in any dramatic way, but it started to show early signs of like, oh, this is actually something special, right? It took some time to really, really take off in terms of CCUs. And by then we tried different things, which, we might touch on a little later, but to answer your question, we thought we understood what worked in Havoc Hotel 1 and how to make it better.
Okay.
And those were, how do we increase engagement? How do we increase decision making, right? So we added we call it the booms system, like when you choose the different weapons. And that was a Havoc Hotel 2 thing, right? It didn't exist in Havoc Hotel 1. And then it really took off. When we released Havoc Hotel 2, that was like, okay, now we had thousands of CCUs, and it was like a live studio changing reality. And then the big question, do we keep updating this one forever, or do we release Havoc Hotel 3? What we saw between Havoc Hotel 1 and Havoc Hotel 2 was that the enthusiasm was much higher with the new island, and it actually kind of dragged up Havoc Hotel 1. when we released Havoc Hotel 2.
Okay.
And that was an interesting experiment because, if we have seen that Havoc Hotel 2 started to have all the CCUs and Havoc Hotel 1 pretty much disappeared, we might have had a different mindset for the strategy for Havoc Hotel 3, but it wasn't the case. It was like, boom, both went up, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to admit here that I was against releasing Havoc Hotel 3.
Okay.
For me, the intuitive thing for me was, let's continue to update Havoc Hotel 2. And it was my partner, my amazing partner and CCO, Luis Daniel Zambrano, our chief creative officer, that said, like, I think we should release a new one. I think we should release Havoc Hotel 3. And that's something I've learned when I don't have like a super clear mindset about something. Sometimes I'm like super convinced about something and I'm going to, like defend it a lot. Not that I'm not going to change my mind, but I'm going to defend it, right? But here I was like, I'm not sure, I'm not sure. And he was like, I think this is what we got to do. So he's the product, highest authority in TerraVision games. And I was like, let's go with your idea. Let's do it. I'm not convinced, but let's do it, right? And when we launched Havoc Hotel 3, I mean, then ask him, like, explain to me what, why do, and there were enough systems that were innovative, new, different from Havoc Hotel 2, that it kind of granted to be its own thing. And then we released Havoc Hotel 3, and it did pretty much the same as it did from 1 to 2, right? It kind of dragged up, pull up, it would be the right term, right? Not full up.
Same. Yeah.
The other two islands, and kind of validated the approach, right? So that's, that's kind of the journey. I don't know what would have happened if we kept updating Havoc Hotel 2, but I don't think the impact would have been as dramatic as there's a new island and how it affected the other two as well.
Got it. No, great answer. No, that actually makes sense. Seeing that, or like you saying that now, and yeah, trying out with number 2, and then you see that number 1 started to rise as well when that came up. So that tells you there's a market, and people are actually liking like a series, right? They like to go through 1, can beat it, and then go to 2.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And one other thing, I think at the end, what really gave me more confidence to go that route is that analyzing the risk of having a third island, there was kind of no way for us to lose, because the worst case scenario was it was irrelevant, right? Havoc Hotel 3 didn't do anything. People stays in Havoc Hotel 2. All right. Well, I mean, it didn't work out. Let's move back to this strategy, right? Let's keep updating this one. What if players move from 2 to 3 and we lose players in 2? All right. So now we continue to, but now we at least run the experiment and we know.
Yes.
So that was kind of the convincing point for me. The flip side of that is now you have 3 islands to maintain.
To update. Yeah. Dude, I don't know if I'm asking that question, but yeah, I'm sure that's a lot to keep those updates go. Well, especially when an update breaks all 3 maps or something, or updating new weapons come in, you got 3 maps. I mean, I know that very well. I've had multiple maps at a time where it takes a long time to update all of them, right? So yeah, it's rough. Yes.
It is rough.
Okay. Yeah. But hey, as long, I think it's a lot easier when you see those CCUs to start updating all 3, right? So when your games are real low, your motivation is a lot less.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the decision making process, how we allocate internally, our people and our efforts. A lot of the times is informed by how much the work we're doing in the islands is producing some results, some measurable results, right? But yeah, it does become a factor because we do want to make more islands, and we have like a list of 200 ideas. And the thing that I think we might have underestimated at the beginning was having a successful island also requires, constant update, constant caring for your community, constant, attention to it, and you can't just abandon it, right? And it's going to continue to perform. So now every time we release a new island, in our planning, in our future planning, we know that we're going to have to allocate a decent team to keep maintaining that island and to update it in live ops.
Okay, that makes sense. I know so my next question actually is around kind of maybe around this and a little bit of live ops. So Havoc Hotel 2, by the way, everyone, and this might even be, I should go look at the numbers, but I mean, you had 23, probably 1,000 more concurrents in this map at one time, and it still holds very good numbers. You even got a game award nomination, which is amazing. Yeah. Congratulations. That has to feel crazy.
Crazy. Yes.
But yeah, so like, how did those milestones impact how you approach your live op,
Yeah.
basically, and updates now? I do wanted to get into that specifically.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think I have I don't know if not very popular opinion on peak CCUs, but I don't think they're that important.
Yeah.
And they are great vanity metric, and we do it right. Like when we see this peak, it's like screenshot, then like share, because we know it's gonna go like boom.
Yeah.
If it's a peak, right? You see islands, and we have seen that ourselves, like you can go to 23,000, 25,000, whatever. Then if it goes down to 1,000 in a couple of days, it really doesn't do that much, right? And we know that, payout is based on time, right? On time spent.
Engagement.
It's engagement. Yeah. Minutes played, right? So I rather have an island that has a consistent 2,000 CCUs, 3,000, hopefully 5,000 CCUs, and not a lot of peaks than one time 30,000 and then boom.
Yeah.
Right. So it's good. It's a good thing to share.
You're correct. You're correct.
But it doesn't really move the needle that much. But it was exciting. The real answer is we were way more interested in our in having consistency CUs. If we see like a smooth curve, that's what you want. You want something that behaves based on seasonality and how players behave in the course of a week, but consistently, right? That's what we try to. And when we have that motivates us a lot. That now we see that we have a sustainable business. We have a sustainable operation where we can predictably invest, where we can predictably allocate people, and we know it's gonna continue to produce the results we expect, right?
Yeah, it's just a healthy metric, a healthy look at your game. We're getting your retention. People are coming back. People are staying long times. You're not getting people coming in and just dropping off a major player base. Seeing a player when you come in to the space, like your game comes in and does that, shoots off and just falls right off. That just means there's something wrong with your game, really, right? I mean, there's people aren't staying or leaving. Or, I mean, people are leaving, right? They're not staying.
People are leaving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can.
I know what I was going to say on that. Sorry. This is where I was going to go. So also Havoc Hotel. I know a lot of people on this metrics, or when you see your metrics when your first games first starts, it does fluctuate a lot, right? You don't have a consistent player base, right? So I think once you release your new game, let's just say, it's going to be a little volatile. It's definitely going to fluctuate a lot more than until you get an actual steady player base. And something that we've never seen before, like you're able to have sequels to your game, so you're bringing already a player base and they already kind of know your game, so that's going to probably be a little smoother transition to go into your next subsequent games you create. But if you're bringing a new game, if you're a creator, that is the dream. You're right, having that steady CCUs that stays.
It is smooth.
But I think no matter who you are or what game, it's to get to that point. I don't know if a lot of games see that immedially, unless they have,
or might never see it.
Or not,
to us as well, right? Like, and I think that's where the line between product management and data intersect with like art and creativity, because sometimes that line between should we keep iterating and trying and updating versus this didn't work out, let's move on to something else.
Kill your darling.
It's a very, very blurry line, right?
Yes.
And I think sometimes it's so hard to distinguish stubbornness from persistency. Right?
Yeah.
And it's not easy, but fortunately, Epic is building way better analytic tools, and it's becoming, the more it can become science, the more it can become about the data, the more informed decisions you can make. So all the stuff they're doing now with, day 1 retention, day 7 retention, it's so informative, and it allows you to know what's happening to the game with the changes we're making. Right?
Yes. No, I mean, we were all, up until a few weeks ago, you're shooting blind a lot of the time, right? You don't know what retention you need to compete with the other teams or your average play time. So I think now we're gonna. I know, and we all said, I've said this, right? You know, it's Epic's fault. My game, it's not my game, right? But I think now that we have these metrics, a lot of us now see like, oh, okay, it's my game. Like I'm not even, you know, near what these other tabs are hitting, right? So I think it is good. It's good. We needed data. We've needed this for a long time. I know you've probably been in Epic's ears. A lot of us have about this, and they do. It's unfortunate it took this long to get it, but it's here. It's here. So that's a good thing. So yeah,
it's a very rapidly evolving ecosystem, right? And
yeah.
I want to say this because, you know, coming from, you know, AAA, AA, however you call it, AAA, you know, development, it's brutal. I mean, game development in general for everybody, it's brutal. So
yes,
I gotta give a huge shout out to Epic, man. Like, they really listen. And, you know, I mean, you have interacted with a lot of people there too, and you have great relations with them as well. And you know that they listen, and they, you know that they, I mean, there's a lot of things to be built and tools, but they are really paying attention to what creators are saying, even to the point of being like this transparent with metrics.
Yes.
I know that was something that, you know, came as feedback from the creators community, and they listen, they implement, and you know they're listening because they actually act upon it.
Yes,
right? Like they are actually doing stuff. So it's such an amazing ecosystem. I can't say enough good stuff about it. We're so happy to you know, be part of this amazing group of creators.
Yeah, I think that's very good. Very important to say that. You know, a lot of people focus on the negative. It's easy to do that, and for sure, you know, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't do any of this if I didn't think Epic was the next thing. If I didn't think Fortnite Creative UEFN was the next thing. You know what I mean? I really believe it, and they are listening. I'm sure there's, as we know, we've worked for big companies. There's a lot of things that they know they just can't talk about yet or say. There's always these other reasons, right? And they are listening. And this past few months, I mean, we have seen some incredible updates that, you know, probably more updates in our ecosystem, even on engine side. It's just last 6 months that we have in a year span. So they're really going forward with it.
Oh man.
And
it's crazy.
It's amazing. And it's so, I think a lot of people forget this, not in the Fortnite space. A lot of us know this, but like, if you're looking at it, Fortnite is attached to BR. It started with a BR. It wasn't Roblox, where it was a platform where everyone knew and to go just play random games. They see it's a Netflix style menu. You pick your games. Like we're trying to, you know, bridge the gap, we've always been trying to take those BR players essentially, right? Or now we're also trying to grow that ecosystem as well. We all need this, and that's hard. I can't understand. Like Epic, they have to think so far ahead, because if, let's just say it, we would all love this, right? They start pushing all the maps in the less BR, right? I'll focus, right? But like that, if you start taking those players away from BR, those are the people. That's what they come to play. That's where they're spending their money on their skins. And one day there will have to be this. Well, I'm sure that this will be a slow evolution. We have to get some. I know Tim Sweeney's been open about some of this stuff, but like that balance, it's scary. It's scary because that could literally create all of us. I mean, if it's not handled carefully. So, you know, I don't have all the answers, but I know Epic, you know, I wouldn't want to be them. You know what I mean? That's
it's such a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
They have the, you know, the future of many, you know, studios, families, people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That depend on them, right? It's a big responsibility, and I think they're doing a great job at handling all that. I mean, BR is the thing that started it all, right? But how liberating is for a creator to be able to focus on making a fun game and just having people spending time on it. Like you don't have to think about in-app purchases. You don't have to think about even marketing your game. It's I know there's, you know, certain tactics that work well, but mostly it's making a good game and, you know, having the right metrics so Discover picks it up, right? So, and that's very liberating as a developer, I think.
For sure, right? No matter what, you know, even the big influencers, you have to have a good game. You have to have a sticky game. It doesn't matter how much and yes, you do have to have influence. You do have to bring players off platforms. Those metrics are there. They've told us that. But yeah, you still have to have a good game. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
And so 100%, we're very, very fortunate. You're right. We don't even and think about cross-platform. You don't even, and you would know this in the, AAA, whatever space, double, whatever you want to call it. You don't have to worry about mobile, porting to mobile, a console, Switch, and PC. It does it for you. I know I heard a lot of big game studios that can be a pain.
Dude, 100%, 1,000%. And I know you want to talk about killer clowns and our transition. So
I do. Yeah.
I don't want to skip ahead, but yes, I mean that's something that definitely we have learned, big time.
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna get there. So very soon, because you definitely have to talk about that. I love that game is awesome, and that series we're gonna get there. So but yeah, so let's talk about production. I want to shift gears a little bit. You shipped a lot of content at a very high quality. So when a pitch hits or a new update rolls out, what's the one metric you personally check first to see if things are on track? I know we kind of started to talk about it a little bit. This is a tough question.
Well, yeah, it is tough. It is tough because of the changing, nature of, the ecosystem and even metrics that were not there, as you said.
True. That's true.
Now are there, right? So
yeah, this is changing. It's evolving. Yes.
It's evolving constantly, but we have been obsessed since the beginning with average playtime. That for us was, we decided that was the important metric somehow. Yeah. And because when we were having success with the first Havoc Hotel, we noticed that, and it's also because of how great this ecosystem is with other creators, right? Like when we started here, we talked a lot with other creators, and I'm gonna highlight the amazing people from Fode and Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, those guys are awesome. Yep.
Those guys are amazing. And actually, I remember a GDC where we were starting with this. That was 2020, fourth year. And we sat down with those guys, and they were super generous with information, and this is the stuff you got to focus on. We're pretty new in the ecosystem, and this is the type of things that makes you feel you're in the right place, right? When you collaboration is the norm, and when people actually want other people to succeed. So yeah, and I remember we were sitting down on the floor because it was impossible to find a space in the Marriott. We sat down with Nate and Scott.
Great guys.
And those guys, amazing guys. And yeah, we have developed a great relation with them, with other creators. But I gotta give a huge shout out to those guys because they were the first ones to introduce us to, which metrics to pay attention to and so on. So
very cool.
But it was validated. Like they said, if you have anything above, I think at the time was 25 minutes average playtime, you're good. You have a good island, right? And we started seeing Havoc Hotel 1 had about 40 minutes average playtime. And
insane.
This is insane. This is really,
yeah.
Really? Are we reading this right? And that was the thing that we would be obsessed with. And Havoc Hotel 2 was Havoc Hotel 1 was about 30 minutes. Then Havoc Hotel 2 was about 45. And then Havoc Hotel 3 was about an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
Average playtime.
Wow.
So for the longest time, that was our goal, right? How do we make a game that it's engaging, that, people want to play it for hours, because that's average, right? So
yeah, that's average, dude. People are playing that average for 3-4 hours. Yeah. Yes,
exactly.
I was one of them. You're welcome, by the way. I gave you a lot of that average play time. It
was you.
Yeah, it was all me, man. Yeah.
But now, we still pay a lot of attention to that, but now we know that retention is really, really important, and now we have the data to validate it. So nowadays we're paying a lot of attention to retention day 1 and 7. But if you don't have a day 1 retention, you're not going to have a good day 7 retention. So day 1 is the thing we're paying the most attention to these days, because it's very important for discovery. And
we just got that metric.
Yeah, we just got that one. And that one I did ask for a lot. And I think it still has some ways to go, because I would love to see cohorts, because to be able to correlate on a specific update with a specific cohort, and how that is retaining day 1, day 7, and hopefully day 30. But yeah, I have so much fun with this, and every time Epic introduces a new metric, it's yes, data.
Yes, yeah. No, for sure. Especially when you got a game that's live and thriving.
Right.
When you get that new data, and then it really can help you with your decisions, because you're just a lot of shots in the dark. It really is, you know. So you know you're doing something right, but that's also scary, really, because sometimes when you do an update or you think maybe it's this is the reason, and then you change something, but that was the reason. You know what I mean? Now, like having that data is very important. All right.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to brand collabs. That's I want to talk about you've worked with some original IPs and some licensed projects, which are rare in this space. So, what was the biggest lesson you learned co-developing Killer Klowns from Outer Space as a console title, and how did that experience carry over into UEFN?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So on the IP side of things, it's interesting because that's actually how we grew up as developers. When we started this journey, 2006, 2007, we were working primarily with big IP holders. We're making, I don't know if you were around that era, but the Flash era.
Oh yeah, the Flash games. Yeah.
Flash games. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah. Yep.
So
you made those.
Yeah, a lot of those. So in a way, I think it was a lot of, preparation for this cadence and this, level of, speed, because that was like 3 months, 4 months games. It wasn't console games by any means. And we would be working with any IP you can think of, from Disney, from Nickelodeon. We did a few Phineas and Ferb games, and we did a few, even like Dora the Explorer, and we worked with a lot of IPs. Ninja Turtles games, that was then when we moved from Flash to HTML5. Okay. That was then, it was like the new Flash, right? So we worked for a long time on those. And I think what I would highlight of that is that with that fast iteration, we learned how to work with IP. So we learned how to work with an IP Bible, with a style guide, right? Like Nickelodeon would give you like a Bible, like an IP Bible of what to do, the do's and don'ts of the Ninja Turtles, right? And I remember like once we worked with American Greetings on a Care Bears, like 8 Care Bears games we did. What? And I remember one that stuck with me is that you can't place a Care Bear in front of another one, like blocking their right?
Their power sign,
yeah. So stuff like that, like you learn how to work with IP and like what to pay attention to. But I think even as important is how do you understand the limitations, but also how do you expand on the possibilities of that IP in an interactive medium. If you're only, paying attention to the limitations and you just try to make something that resembles the shows, you're missing out on the power of a game, of an interactive medium, right? So how do those constraints and lore and characteristics of the IP translate well into game mechanics?
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting question that we like to think of. What hasn't been done, because it's a show, it's a linear show that you can't do stuff like you could do in a game. So in the case of like Killer Klowns, we're fortunate because the movie is a game design document, right? Like you watch the movie with the mindset of somebody that's going to make a game. Do that exercise. And the next time you watch the movie, watch it from the perspective of, I'm going to make a game out of this movie. And you're going to see game mechanics everywhere. It's like it designs itself. But in a way, it was also like a very big responsibility, because it has a big following base, and the people that love Killer Klowns.
Yeah,
right? It's a cult. It's a really cult.
Yeah.
Movie. And the Kyoto brothers, which were super fortunate to work with them, the creators, were amazing. Like we were actually, they were as excited as we were, I think, of making a game based on their IP, on something, that came out of their minds. But I think the biggest learning in terms of process and production, that game took 3 years to develop.
Wow.
3 years plus. And maybe, I don't know what percentage to assign to this, but it's more than 30% of the efforts might have gone to just making the game work as a multiplayer game.
Wow.
Stability, and worrying about server costs. At launch it had 4,000, I think, for like 4,300 CCUs at launch, right? And that's a big number for a console game, for a PC game. Now that's Wednesday for us in UEFN.
And Havoc,
So with Havoc Hotel. So that's another one of those where I'm like, oh man, how blessed are we?
Yeah.
First of all, we don't have to wait 3 years to know if the game is going to work out or not. It's weeks, maybe months, but can't be years. Otherwise, you're doing something wrong. You got to iterate fast and release fast in this ecosystem.
Yeah.
But now that's so refreshing. And that has a big implication for us as a studio, which is it's a risk we can assume. We don't have to look for a publisher. We don't have to pitch. Give us money to make the game. We just go ahead, make the game, release the game. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, let's make the next one, right?
Yeah.
So that completely changes the paradigm for us as a studio. And then the multiplayer aspect. I can't stress enough how fortunate we are in this ecosystem to not have to worry about anything multiplayer. It just works. You have 20,000 CCUs. That's a huge number. It's an incredibly big number. And you don't even have to worry about server costs. You don't even have to worry about, things going down and having to, wake everybody up at, on a Sunday morning because the thing is, crashing or something. So it's that I think would be like some of the biggest, comparisons I would draw parallels. I would draw with our experience with Killer Klowns.
I think I'm glad you shared that because again, with the community, we all get, stuck in our ways or just seeing what's in front of us, or maybe we don't have that experience of working with those big games or how game development it still is, but can be. And so that's just fascinating. It makes you feel kind of bad sometimes for some of your complaints, you know what I mean? Because it took years just that, and we have settings for it, you know what I mean? So that for like multiplayer, what I mean, we have just some settings. I mean, there's more that goes into it, designing for multiple. It's not just that easy. I will say that, but no, definitely doesn't take years. So that's wild. No, thank you for sharing that. And I want to still stay on the IP topic because you guys just launched a really successful Walking Dead experience. So the new Walking Dead IP just kind of came into Fortnite and you guys crushed it. You guys made a really fun game. You also did an integration with Final Destination, right? So, how did you keep those projects fun and, on brand for players, your integration and, still respecting those licenses? You kind of brought it up a little bit already with your Killer Clown stuff, but, I want to talk specifically on your games.
No, that's a great question. And I think it's a very unique situation with UEFN because I think there's like a pre-filtered, pre-approved type of situation here, because when you work with devices that have been built in collaboration between Epic and the IP holder, there isn't a lot you can screw up, right? Like the limitations already kind of there in the devices, what you can do or not with those devices. So it makes it way easier, right? Like you don't have to go through all the approval process. When we work on an IP-based game, anything we do, anything we design, it's got to go to the IP holder and they have to review it, and they come back to us with notes like, no, this character shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that or shouldn't look this way. Or so in that way, our artists have to become like an extension of those, companies to really, really portray in the right way their IP. When we work on a Ninja Turtles game, the models need to be like Ninja Turtles, proper Ninja Turtles characters, right? So in UEFN, you use what it's already there, and there isn't a lot of limitations about what you can do, right? With that, because you're in a game and you're Luke Skywalker and the other person is a Ninja Turtle and the other person is just So I mean, by design, it already doesn't have to be so strict about IP rules. But yeah, I mean, like I think we're very fortunate to work directly with Skybound on this one, and like that collaboration informed a lot what the devices was going to have and what the what was going to be done in this specific integration. So that was a really cool experience. I'm a huge fan of The Walking Dead. And at the studio, we're huge fans of The Walking Dead. Dream come true to be honest, working with those guys, and like really, we feel like really, really fortunate to have been able to work on that project. We're very proud of the game we released. It had a few hiccups at the beginning with some very nasty, I want to be very transparent here. Everything is not, we failed too, and we have moments where things didn't go the way we wanted to, more times than the ones that we actually succeed. But the ones we succeed, of course, are the ones we like to talk about, right? But this is also important to talk about, because I think how you handle these situations is important as well. And I think in our experience has been that we haven't been able to yet have a bulletproof QA process, because a lot of times what we see in production, it's not necessarily what happens when the game is live, right? And
Yep.
some of the bugs happen live in a live environment. Those are the nastier ones, because work really, really hard, then you release, then some stuff happens. Sometimes it's on Epic side, sometimes it's on our side, stuff that wouldn't happen on when we're in production. So that's something that we're getting better at dealing with, and we're also interacting with Epic to see how can we have better tools so hopefully nobody has to go through through stuff like this. But I love the game. Everybody, the studio loved the game we made. I think a lot of people out there like the game. It had a bit of a dip in CCUs, but I think we have been doing hopefully the right updates, focusing a lot on retention. There were some stuff that we didn't catch in production in terms of some of the in the experience of the game that we're trying to make better for newer players coming in the island.
Some onboarding,
yeah, some of them boarding, scaffolding, and balancing, and I think it's working out. So it's even when it doesn't go according to plan, it's a fun process, and you learn a ton of things.
for sure. And look, you already said it, but I was gonna say this anyway, because what you can QA, you can test as much as you said on your side, but once a game goes live, it's a whole new ball game. The timing of which things fire, like just how players interact, or just like it's usually a lot of the bugs you've play tested, everything's working perfect, and then sometimes when you just go live, it happens. It's just and it's a very common problem in this ecosystem.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think of it this way: like if you invest, 5,000 hours of QA in your studio, that's a lot of hours from.
It's a lot of money.
Not a huge team. Yeah, but it's also like you can't speed up that thing unless you have like 100 people working it. But once you release a game, if you have 5,000 CCUs, you get 5,000 hours of playtest in the first minute.
Yeah.
So in the first minute, maybe you're going to get way more playtime hours than all your QA combined. So mathematically, people's going to find out stuff that you can't find. And how do you react to that? How do you iterate? How do you, make sense of what's happening and where to focus your updates? I think that's the key.
Yeah, no, I think it was great being transparent about all of that. And I mean, the game is successful. A lot of people would dream for some of those numbers. You guys crushed it. It's a very good game.
Thank you, Leo.
And definitely, that's what any great studio would do. Just what you've done, things happen. You can't plan for everything, but it's what you do after, right? And getting in there, seeing what your players are doing, and creating those meaningful updates or patches. But I've been in that seat a lot of times. It's the worst feeling. It stinks sometimes, especially if you don't know what happened or you can't put your finger on it. So no, man.
Yeah, it's like Tyson says, like everybody has to plan until they get punched in the face.
Yes, exactly. But all of that just makes your studio stronger, and now you know what to look out for on your next launches. And no, it's thank you for sharing that. We're down.
Yeah, there's a good trend with the game, I think, and we're making a good update in the next few days.
Okay,
and I think it's gonna, yeah. And like you said, I mean, it's not terrible numbers. It might be around the 200 right now. CCUs. It was above 1,000, 2,000 before. So that's what we were aiming to, right? And I think we're gonna get back to those numbers with these updates.
Yes, no, for sure. So yeah, we just have a few more questions left, man. You've been sharing so much knowledge, and I think a lot of people are gonna get a lot out of this episode. So seriously, Enrique, thank you so much. I'm learning. I love this stuff, man. So I love talking about this, and thank you for we have some of these conversations just in person. I love being able to show people, and just like you said, to talk with Kevin. I love having these conversations, and I think it's really important. And when I was at Unreal Fest, a lot of people came up to me and was like, how much they've learned or from these episodes and helping and giving back. So you're doing the same thing as Foes. So thank you so much.
Oh man, thank you. This is a very important role what you're doing, and I think it's, like you said, very beneficial for a lot of people out there. Thank you for doing this.
Of course. No, thank you, man. So yeah, I actually I want to stick on your studio and talk about culture.
Yeah.
TerraVision has a great reputation. You guys ship awesome work. We all have it, burnout, all those things come. Like what's a production habit or studio norm that you've put in place to help keep that pace sustainable? You have multiple games you're updating all these times. You're working with big IP brands. Walk us through that.
Yeah. It's been challenging for us to adapt to this new pace, right? Because like I said, we come from a like last 10 years at least, we have been working on games that take longer, bigger teams, and the pacing on those, it's 2 years, 3 years development. So, every milestone may be 2 months, 3 months, right? That's the whole game in this system, right? So when we started this, that's something we very, very quickly kind of noticed that we couldn't move at the same pace as we were with a more AA, AAA game. And that's why we started with this self-imposed constraint of releasing an island per week. That's how we started. And then,
wow.
That expanded to 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And now it's maybe months, but we are very mindful of not letting one success or, our more traditional AA, AAA mindset start to inform how long should a project take, right? Because we got to iterate fast, we got to release fast, and then we just got to keep updating. But that first moment of release, if you stay in the, in the drawing room, just like with hypotheses about what this is going to do, what that's going to do, most of the time, a lot of things that you thought were going to be super important are not that important.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that you didn't even think about is like everybody's complaining about, or everybody thinks that. So you got to release. And then the beauty of this is that you always have a second chance, right? With more traditional games, your launch day, it's what informs the rest, the future of the game. If you have a bad launch, it's very hard to recover from that. Here, every week is a new opportunity, right? Like you make a good update, it gets picked up by, discovery. And now it's like your game we've seen this many times, right? Like a game that has been around for a year and then they did the right update and then it blows up.
Yes.
So that is great. We adapting to that, a velocity. I'm gonna be honest with you. It hasn't been easy for us, especially because our production processes were designed for longer projects, right? So now it's like, let's go fast, let's move fast. And that has been challenging for our production team and for our team. Like, okay, I feel like I'm not even assimilating what you ask of me. And now there's a new requirement. Now there's a new change. So we're trying to adapt to that. And I think we have done some progress on that, understanding that it's a different paradigm, understanding that we can't operate the same way as with the other projects, right? So in that sense, it's been a challenge, but it's a good challenge, and it's something that we keep very present. I think the key here is to acknowledge that there's gonna be room for improvement, and how do we make it better? How do we make it better? How do we make it better? And that's the process we're going through now. In terms of like crunch and yeah, we have put in place some rules, like for instance, one of the things that sometimes we don't sometimes we don't do it, but we try to be as strict as possible with this, is not to release updates on a Friday.
Yeah.
Because
yes. Yeah.
Something's gonna break. Something's gonna break. And then it's Saturdays and Sundays people working on. Our focus right now has been on efficiency, right? If you're efficient and plan ahead, and efficiency don't necessarily means like concentration, right? It also means being clear with your design, with your request, with what the game is going to be. That makes the process way more efficient than if you just like have like a premise and, let's build something, right? If you're a team of 2 or 3, that might work. If you're a team of, we're 80 in TerraVision games at this point.
Crazy.
Not everybody's working on UEFN, but I'm going to say about 25, 30 people is working on UEFN at this point right now in the studio. And it's a smaller cells, right? It's like 2, 3, 4 projects, and then there's the live ops. But at the same time, there's a lot of coordination happening. So there's got to be like, going full circle to what we talked before, there's got to be a lot of structure. There's got to be a lot of processes in place so the team know where we're going with something. We're getting better at that, fast iteration. Let's launch. Let's measure, then let's iterate type of a paradigm. And then I gotta give a huge, props to our, shout out to our production team, in particular, Cindy Ordonez, which is our COO. She's the one keeping the structure and the processes in our studio and our talent team. That's something that I'm very proud of having. Like, I know there isn't a lot of studios our size that would necessarily at that level of overhead, but it's something that we really care a lot about. So we have people that's basically looking for our people's well-being. We have like active pauses like religiously, and we even have like clubs, like little clubs that we give some budget to anybody who wants to start a club in the studio, and it's like a drawing club or a music club, and it gives people that level of it's not only work. There's other outlets for them to relate with their coworkers and blow some steam.
No, for sure. I think that's important too, just create some, just like some unity, or just create some sort of thing that's just not just gaming we're all consistently on. It's kind of help the culture, really. I think that's important. Very important.
Yeah.
So, no, thanks for sharing that. Now, we got a fun question. This was a fun question. So let's think big for a second, all right? So if budgets and approvals were unlimited, what kind of experience would you build next inside of Fortnite?
Are you talking about memory budgets, or are you talking about money budgets?
Money budgets. Yeah. Well, okay, say no memory. Let's just say no memory as well. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like we would love to bring the vision we have for games outside the ecosystem, the Fortnite ecosystem, to Fortnite. Like last year, we were working on a survival game, like type of a raft, type of a Subnautica type of a game that we really, really, really liked the concept. And last year was brutal in terms of like finding funding for anything.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is one of the reasons why we started working with UEFN, and like let's start experimenting with this, and it took off, fortunately. But yeah, I think if we could tap into the tools that we have, and all the multiplayer kind of aspect, I think creating games with devices, it's an amazing way of creating games, and in a very modularized way. So if we could create bigger games, stuff that we have envisioned for PC and console, that'll be a dream for us. One of the things that I feel gets a little bit in the way, which is also great, but it does get in the way for this, is the fact that everything is based on engagement, right? Like there's games, I love indie games, right? I love very, very well-crafted, smaller experiences that you play for a few hours, and then, you finish the game and move on to the next game. I enjoy those experiences. So of course, I would love to see some of those more in the ecosystem. It might not jive with Epic's vision because, of course, it's a platform that leaves out of engagement. But as a creator, as a developer, it's something that it will be also liberating to have a game that people can just pay for it, a premium payment, and then play the game for a few hours, and then it's done, right? That would enable some of the stuff we would like to hopefully do in the future in the ecosystem, in the platform.
That's very cool. Yeah, I think Roblox did something like that where you could I don't know if it was like released to all studios or not, but you could like create your game, but put like a paywall up front to like a beta at whatever. Right. You get to come in and you pay $5 or whatever, and you get access to the game. But I see what you're saying. That is so tough. We all there's all these games we want to make and have fun making, or we all grew up loving these type of genres, but it doesn't necessarily jive with discovery. That gameplay loop is at this current state is just not enough to have it show up in discovery, right? So that's a tough question. No, look, that's a very hard question I asked, and I think it's a fun question, but I love how you think, and that's why you're successful because you have that mindset, man, and you're always thinking, well, I want to make this game, but it's just right now it's not going to work in the ecosystem. It's funny, but it's definitely, and also you don't give any secrets in a way, right? But no, great answer.
But for now we want to keep doing both, right? Like we are, as I said, like half of our team is doing UEFN, the other half is still working on a real engine, and I think that's important for us as a studio because it keeps the level of engineering and technical art and UX and all the areas that we have like up to date with with the engine, but also because of the vision that Tim Sweeney has shared many times that it's going to converge in Unreal 6. And that's something very exciting for us because I think as a studio, we'll be in a very good position because we have been doing both, right? And the convergence of both is very exciting. Meanwhile, we're going to continue to the stuff we can make in Fortnite, in UEFN, it's gonna fit the platform. And the stuff that doesn't fit the platform, we're still gonna do it because we can't stop. And we really, really want to build like all the type of games as well. So we are building those games as well, now enabled by the success of UEFN. So it's a beautiful virtuous cycle that we feel very fortunate to be part of.
No, amazing. Yep. And you're thinking ahead. You know what I mean? V6 coming, they'll have verse, scene graph, all these things that a lot of studios don't have or aren't going to have not a lot of experience with. So you're definitely, staying ahead of the curve. Very smart. Very smart. Before we wrap this up, I always give my guests a chance to plug what's next. So is there anything you want to talk about? What's coming up for TerraVision? And then where can people follow you?
Yeah, sure. So we're definitely going to continue to work on Havoc Hotel related stuff. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Some cool stuff coming up. There's some amazing partnerships with IP holders as well that, can't really talk much about. Let's say we're excited about the future. We're excited about, keep bringing hopefully innovation to the ecosystem. That's a big focus for us. Is like, let's try new things. Let's make sure that we're building the stuff we want to play. Let's keep building stuff that adds some new things to the ecosystem. That's very important for us, and that's going to continue to happen. I think sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not going to work. That's how innovation works, right? Like if you're not assuming risks and you don't accept the possibility of failure, then you're not assuming enough risk. So certainly we're going to continue to be risky and try to innovate in the space. And where to follow us, Terra Creators is our handle in social media, and please join our Discord as well, Terra Creators as well. If you follow us on X or Twitter, Terra Creators, and join our Discord, I'm sure that's going to be more than enough information that you're going to get.
Links will all be in the description of that for both of those. Please go follow. Following there is what I'm following all your stuff. It's amazing. I love what you guys are posting. So definitely go follow.
Thank you.
So now it's time. The last question, the lightning round, whatever, rapid fire questions, whatever it is. So I hope you're ready. I'm just going to ask you 3 questions. It's kind of rapid fire and whatever comes to mind is just give the answer. So you're the first one. Roguelike you revisit most often for inspiration.
Easy.
Hades.
Although I'm playing a lot of Blueprints nowadays.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
But Hades is I have hundreds of hours in Hades.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's a good one. Okay. Yeah. Development tool or workflow trick you can't live without.
This is going to sound very lame, but calendar.
Okay.
And by the way, calendar, I live by calendar, but my little hack that I'm going to, share, it might be lame too, but I do my to-do list in calendar as well, because I like to it's not a separate list, but I like to associate my to-do with a specific time of the day. So I have like 2 calendars, the calls and the meetings, and I have my to-do, which I place in a specific moments in the day within a specific time allotted to that. So that's my little, productivity thing I do.
No, that's great. That's great. That's a great answer. It's actually really smart because, look, we all, when you have your calendar, especially we have meetings and you're busy, it's like, and you have your to-do list, you have these things to do. If you don't block out that time, people can come in and try to fill it or take it. And it's like, oh, I have to get this done. So no, that's a good answer. All right. Last one. Okay. Last one. One word that captures TerraVision's focus for 2025.
Well, I don't know if this is one word, but level up.
Oh,
in gaming, it's one word. Level up.
That's a dash. It is. It's a one word. It's one word. No, it is.
Yeah. Let's say it's one word. Yeah. Level up.
It's one word.
Continuing to level up.
No, look, This was a great episode. I had so much fun. Seriously, Enrique, thank you so much for joining and sharing all your knowledge in this space. You guys are crushing it. I will continue to follow you guys, and congrats on all your success.
Thank you so much, amigo. So much fun to be here, and thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, and keep doing what you do, man. You're doing a lot of great stuff for this community and this ecosystem. Keep doing the good job, the good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, that's it for this episode. We'll catch you on the next one. That's a wrap on this episode of the Creative Juice podcast. Huge thanks to Enrique Fuentes for dropping real, actionable insight on how to build games and studios that can actually scale. From launching a studio in Venezuela to working on global IPs like Killer Klowns, and now leading one of the most respected teams in Fortnite Creative, Enrique's story is a reminder that the path to success isn't always fast, but it can be repeatable. If you're in this space, whether you're building, managing, funding, or just curious, go follow TerraVision's work, because these guys aren't chasing trends. They're building systems that last. If you enjoyed this podcast, can you please like, favorite, share, comment? All of that helps. If you're listening, please leave a rating. That actually helps out a lot for us. Any questions, anything you want to ask, please ask on my Twitter at @ImmatureGamerxx. That's my handle. Reach out anytime. You already know how we always close this out. Don't hate, create.